Hi everyone, welcome to day 14 of our 2-week Yogalates challenge for lower body strength and pelvic stability. Congratulations to those of you who have been following along for the past 2 weeks. Well done. We have made it to our final day of the series. And if this is your first time participating in this practice, check out the comment section down below for more details. We'll commence today's practice in child's pose, affording yourself a moment to get comfortable, widening the knees slightly, allowing the hips to sink back towards the heels, big toes are touching, extending the arms out in front, maybe resting the forehead on the mat, settling in, affording yourself space to tune into the body. Observe your natural respiration in this very moment. Noticing if there are any thoughts that are beginning to arise. And if so, mindfully guiding your awareness to the breath, to this posture. Today's focus is all about nourishment as we work through various active and passive yoga stretches. So give yourself permission to go at your own pace. Lean into what feels right for you. 2 more breaths in child's pose. Staying in child's pose, we'll walk our hands to the edge of the mat, placing the left palm on top of the right, feeling a lovely stretch along the left side body. Mindfully walking your palms through center, and we'll take this stretch on the other side. Being mindful to keep the right sits bone connected to the heel of the foot. Breathe. Gently guiding your palms back to center, and we'll work our way up into cat pose, rounding the spine. Exhale, sink back into child's pose. Inhale, raise the hips, press into the palms, cat pose. A few more rounds like this, finding your cadence, keeping that core engaged, finding length along the back of the neck. Once more, and this time we'll meet in a traditional tabletop, coming into a standard rotation of cat and cow. Inhale, scoop the chest forward, gaze up, broaden across the heart space. Exhale, press into the palms, chin to chest. Just like this, mobilizing the spine. Grounding down through tabletop. On your next inhale, we'll extend our right arm skywards, gazing up towards the right fingertips. Exhale, thread the needle as we come into Balasana, guiding the right arm between the left arm and the left leg. Lowering the right shoulder onto the mat, resting the side of your face. And you might like to extend your left arm out in front, keep your palm under your left shoulder, or find a bind as you grab the inner seam of that right thigh with your left palm. Steady breaths. Gently begin to unravel. Taking one round of cat and cow. And we'll take Balasana on the other side. Noticing what's going on with the hips. Is it possible to keep them aligned with the knees? Can you soften the muscles of the face? Unclench the jaw. Mindfully beginning to release, coming into a tabletop position, tenting up onto our fingertips, engaging the core. We'll guide our right knee towards our chest and place the foot between the palms, coming into a low supported lunge. The front knee is in line with the ankle, hips are squared, and either staying here or we'll come to place both of our palms on that right thigh. You might like to tuck your back toes under for a little bit more knee support. One breath here, and we'll float our left arm skywards, palm facing towards the midline, and gently guide our torso over to the right, finding a lovely stretch for the left side body. Back to center, raising the right arm. Exhale, float your arms down behind your back, interlace the fingers together, broaden across the heart space, gaze up. Release the bind, re-extend the arms above your head, one breath here, and gently frame the front foot. Well done. Stepping back into tabletop, we'll take this on the other side. Really being mindful with these transitions, recognizing that the movements between postures are just as important as the postures themselves. So give yourself enough space, enough time to get comfortable. If you're upright, you might like to extend your right arm skywards as we stretch over to the left. Feeling a beautiful stretch for the torso. Gently return to center and extend the left arm to meet the right. One breath here. Scissoring the inner thighs together. Exhale, float the arms down behind your back, interlace the fingers, gaze up. Allow yourself to release any stored emotions that might be stagnating around the heart space. Re-extend the arms and frame the front foot, stepping back into tabletop. Well done. From here, we're going to come into a mini flow. So shifting our weight forwards into a half plank, allowing the arms to graze the side body. We're going to slowly lower down in an 8-limbed staff pose, keeping the core engaged, hips coming down last. On our next inhale, we'll push up into cobra. You might like to ever so slightly raise your palms off the floor, keeping it entirely in the back. Or if you'd like to press your palms down into the mat, beginning to activate the triceps. And from here, we'll push back into downward facing dog, finding length along the back body. One breath here. And gently lower the knees to the mat, point the toes, sink the hips back to the heels, child's pose. Inhale, shift your weight forwards into a supported plank. Exhale, begin to lower the torso down with control. Inhale, press up into cobra, Bhujangasana. Exhale, shift the weight back, downward facing dog. Gently lower the knees to the mat. Sink the hips back, child's pose. One breath here. Inhale, shift your weight forwards, supported plank. Exhale, Ashtanga Namaskar. Inhale, Bhujangasana. Exhale, Adho Mukha Svanasana. And again, gently lower the knees to the mat, child's pose. One breath here. Inhale, come forward into supported plank. Exhale, lower down with control. Inhale, cobra, gaze up. Exhale, tuck the toes under, downward dog. Breathe. From down dog, you might like to shorten your stance slightly. We're going to ground down through the left palm as we grab a hold of the outer edge of the left ankle with the right palm, finding a lovely inverted twist. One breath here. Returning to down dog, and we'll take the twist on the other side. Seeing if you can evenly distribute that weight across both feet. Returning to down dog, one breath here. Mindfully lower the knees down onto the mat. We'll lower down onto our sits bones, extending the legs out in front, coming into Dandasana, staff pose. Roll the shoulders back, engage the core, find length through the vertebral column. Keeping the left leg extended, we're going to bend the right knee, placing the sole of the right foot on the inner seam of that left leg. And from here, we're going to scoop our right arm around the inside of that right leg and reach around with our left arm, finding a bind. Doing our best to keep both sits bones grounded. This is a great posture to stimulate digestion with this gentle compression of the abdomen. Mindfully release, and this time we'll cross our right leg over the left. Inhale, extend the arms overhead. Exhale, twist the torso to the right. Maybe finding a mudra with that left arm, the left fingers, as we tent up onto the right fingertips behind us, gazing over that shoulder or closing the eyes. Gently release. We'll re-extend that right leg and take this flow on the other side. Maybe internally and externally rotating the hips a few times, finding any adjustments that feel good. Mindfully releasing from the compression, and we'll come into the twist. Guiding your breath to any regions where you're feeling sensation. Gently unravel. We'll re-extend that left leg. And from here, bending our knees, placing the soles of our feet down on the mat, we're going to come up into a reverse tabletop. You can have your fingertips facing forwards, facing to the back, or slightly out on an angle. It's really up to you. Play around and see what feels right. From here, we are going to raise our hips up off the mat, grounding down through the feet, squeezing the glutes at the top, squeezing the inner thighs, and doing our best to keep our knees aligned with our hips and knees are over top of the ankles. You might like to gaze back if that's okay for your neck, otherwise looking out on a diagonal. One more breath. And gently release. Well done. From here, crossing our legs, coming up onto our shins, we are going to set up for Ustrasana, camel pose. Knees a hip width distance apart, engage the core, place the palms on the sacral region of the spine, and begin to lean back through the thoracic region, the upper region of the spine. Return to center. And again. You might like to assume this baby version of camel pose, or if you're ready, we'll find a full expression. Lowering the arms down to grab a hold of the heels, really pushing forward through the pelvis, broadening across the heart space, maybe lowering your head back. If you notice that your glutes are really firing to keep you in this posture, this could be an indication that you're compressing your lower back, so you might like to back out of the posture a little. And when you're ready, we'll come back upright, lowering our sits bones down onto our heels. One breath in diamond pose. From here, we'll interlace our fingers behind our back and begin to lower ourselves onto the mat as though we were coming into child's pose, and imagining as though we can extend the bind towards the earth. Breathe. Gently returning the palms to the earth, rolling up into a seated position. And once more lowering our sits bones onto the mat, extending the legs out in front, scooting forward slightly on the mat as we begin to roll down one vertebra at a time. Walking the heels closer to the glutes, finding one breath here. Establishing your connection to the earth, to this posture. From here, we'll set up for a bridge, grounding down through the feet, raising the hips, the lower back, the mid back, really lifting up through the pelvis, engaging the glutes, the inner thighs, and lowering down with control. You might like to take this again or join us in Chakrasana wheel pose. Extending the arms to shoulder height, flexing the elbows, placing the palms down on either side of the shoulders, and beginning to press up into wheel pose. Really using this pelvic stability here to help us lift up and out of the lower back. The knees are in line with the ankles. If it's in your practice, you might like to lower down onto your forearms. You might like to lower down onto your shin as well, finding any variation that works for you. Breathe. And mindfully beginning to work your way out of the posture. Well done, drawing the knees to the chest, finding any organic movement that feels right for you. Perhaps swaying side to side slightly. From here, we'll set up for Plow pose, transitioning through candlestick or shoulder stand, using momentum, engage the core, and begin to lower the legs overhead, keeping them extended. Maybe finding a bind with the hands, really helping you to ground down into the earth. You might like to come into some single leg extensions, moving with control, finding a beautiful passive stretch for the hamstrings, for the calf muscles. And if you're doing this, really try and keep the hips squared. If you're in plow pose, maybe coming into ear pressure pose, bending the knees on either side of the head, really feeling a lovely release for the back body. Gently re-extending the legs. If you were in the bind, returning your palms to the mat, and with control we'll engage the core and begin to slowly roll out of the posture, bending the knees, drawing them to the chest, ensuring that the entirety of the back remains in contact with the earth. From here, interlacing the fingers around the right shin, we'll extend the left leg out, grounding down through the left heel, left toes and left kneecap facing skywards, coming into Uttanasana, wind relieving posture, and either staying here or coming into a spinal twist, extending the right arm out at shoulder height. Feeling a lovely release for the lower back. Mindfully release, draw both of the knees to the chest, and we'll take this stretch on the other side. Either staying in wind relieving or coming into a spinal twist. Gently release. Bend both knees, placing the soles of the feet on the mat, and we'll come into a hamstring stretch to close practice, extending the right leg skywards, pointing and flexing the foot a few times. You might like to place your palms behind the hamstring, the calf, the ankle. It might feel good to bend and straighten that leg a few times, and maybe extending the left leg. If both legs are extended, you might like to raise your chest up off the mat, drawing your chin towards the knee, raising the left leg, engaging the core, and gently release. We'll take this on the other side. This time extending your left leg, interlacing your fingers behind the leg as we begin to point and flex that foot. This might feel like a lovely release for the calf muscle, the ankle. Maybe extending that right leg out. If you're in a full extension, raising the chest up off the mat, engaging the core, floating the right leg up. One breath here. And gently release. And we'll get set up for Shavasana, final relaxation. Extending the limbs, giving yourself permission to take up as much space as you like. Closing the eyes. Feeling the whole body relax. Noticing if there are any regions of the body where you are still holding on to tension. And imagining what it might feel like to soften into these regions. Allow yourself to rest in stillness for the next few moments, simply observing and letting go. we will close practice in Shavasana. I invite you to stay here for as long as you like, whether it be 30 seconds, 3, 5, 10 minutes. Listen to what your body needs today. And we'll close practice in a space of gratitude, recognizing our efforts for showing up to this series. Well done on cultivating the mental, emotional, and physical strength to show up to your practice consistently. Thank you all so much. Have a beautiful day. Namaste.